Okay, so we should be live. Let's see if this happens. Doesn't look like it. Oh, actually we are. Okay. So I will try to have sound in the background, so I will have just to be tweaking those a little bit so that you can hear me. Right. So let's actually put some music. And now, yes. Hey, yep, I see you. So we're correctly live. It's been a long time since I've done those, so I'm pretty rusty. And anyway, don't know very much how to do that. So let me just check. I don't hear any music in the background. Let's see how this is going now. Otherwise, I could be increasing it on, I don't know. Well, actually, okay. Yeah, I guess it's good like this. Let's get the... Oh, actually, it's paused now. Alright, so, hey, instead of just starting to do this, we will start by checking a bug on a project. So let's check this. So it's about the views. So I should be looking for the views somewhere. I'll try to not move the microphone too hardly. And I actually want the chat here. Can you show me the chat? Right, I'm gonna spend 10 years showing the chat on my phone. Okay, I don't know. I just use the second screen. So here we have, we want to debug something regarding the views. So what do we have? So here we have the clicker view. And we should have user interface somewhere. Clicker view upgrade. So feel free to guide me through your project if you want to send me somewhere specific. Well, let's actually start the game. Obviously. So here user interface is null. In the debugger, we can see that. So we have the export and we are in upgrades. So in upgrades, we should actually have, yeah, we should have user interface there. But the thing is, okay. So here, it's just thyself. Because the reason why I used this line, which was referencing the user interface, and exporting it and importing it afterward, is because it was another scene which was parent to the views. So it is the views which reference the parent user interface. But here I do believe that the navigation requested, where does it come from? Because we have this signal here, on game clicker navigation requested. So it should be here, I guess. It's in this scene, probably, because that's the game scene. This is just a component and another component. Or, well, actually, game clicker was the master scene, I believe. Game clicker, yes. But anyway, it's here. It's probably here you have to assign this, and then we kind of have to know where this signal is coming from. Because right there we reference the signal navigation requested one, and this guy must be somewhere. So we're gonna search in files, and we're gonna find this. So here we are in clicker view. Yep, so you see, people usually like to have a specific order for things. So even though you have a kind of separation here, which pretty much means you want to create another script, if you want your code to be easily readable for anyone, including yourself, there's a, let me find this. I can't remember how it's named, so it's godot style guide, I think. And you have at the very bottom of this page, you have this. This is a suggestion on how to organize the GDScript so that you kind of always have your signals at the top, then the enums, then the constants, then the variables, and then the methods. And even in the methods, you try to organize this a little bit, but that's just readability. It's not super important, it's just for yourself, right? So anyway, here, so we basically just want an upgrade to reference user interface. And here, I believe we want to get clicker view. But clicker view is of a type clicker view. So we're just gonna try to change this in clicker view here, so that now we can reference it. And I don't know if this is gonna fix anything. So we can start, and then we can, well, we can't generate AP. And we have a button. Oh, that's a text edit. That's surprising. Yeah, of course. I mean, organization and stuff, it's really, I don't want to say it's end tier, but you first have to figure out the basics of what you want to do before you bother organizing. That makes sense. So at the moment we have this dot thing which works, but I don't know what we're trying to do. So here we have the navigation request. And is it this button upgrades that should display something? Yes, the upgrade thing must be hidden. So here, I'm gonna go very hardcore, but we're gonna go with visible equal false in ready, so that it goes away. And, oh, the button works now. So that's okay. And now on navigation requested 1. So here we are in upgrade. So basically we want visible to be equal to not visible. I mean, that's just what I guess you want to do. Okay. But it's not connected, it seems. We have an argument, view1. Do we even get in there? Nope. So clicking on the upgrade button does nothing at the moment. So we have a signal which goes to navigation requested 1.emit views 1 upgrades. But yeah. And this navigation .emit, that's a little bit weird. We don't get it. Okay, so it's emitted. That's right. However, it's not received. So first we're debugging before actually working on the episode 2. And I will show you actually what I did the last time. So yeah, here we have the user interface one, navigation requested. On game clicker navigation. Okay, because I actually was in the wrong method. So here, right, we have views 1. Okay. And in clicker here, yes, we have views 1, but that's, if you remember what I said, that's just a type. So here you want to have the upgrades. Wait, okay. Wrong. That's the gaming mode. Sometimes it changes on its own. Super annoying. So yes, you want to have the upgrades value in there. So that here, yes, you have the type. And you want to check that it is equal to view1, which is clickers.view1. And here you have to specify again. Oh no, sorry. My bad. The value. Can I say view1? Upgrades right there? No. So clicker view dot views1 dot upgrade. Okay. So yeah, I suggest you. Oh, if it's, because I'm not so sure, because the behavior that was in the video was basically to mimic a tab container. And here it really depends on what you're trying to do. Because if you want something to appear, disappear, then the behavior will be slightly different. Because right there, we should be able to open it. Nope. Oh yes, that's just the breakpoint. Nope, doesn't show yet. If requested view is equal to view1. Let's see. So it's not equal. Even though here we have the view1 and in the other one we have this one. Okay, that's weird. But yeah, it really depends. If you're not trying to be making a tab container and you just want it to pop in and out, you can go with something like visible equal not visible. because this way you would be able to basically pop it in and out. Oh, oh, right. Now it's in front of everything, so we can interact. So we have 2 people who joined. Well, 3 if we count Yuri, so yeah, let's go and hello. I don't know if you're from the channel Red Rabbit, I've never seen you, so you could be a wanderer. Right now, we're debugging. So here, yes, we have the upgrade. Let's actually just change a little bit this upgrade here. So that's a control node. Here we have a text edit. Text edit, by the way, is really for when you want the user to input their own text and type things. What's the difference between visible equal false and the method hide? Well, based on how it's worded right now, hide is a method that does something. It doesn't tell you something. Well, visible, okay, sorry, I thought about visible equal false as in a condition. Probably the same thing. Probably the same thing. So let's see. Hide. So hide is probably from canvas item. Hide the canvas item if it's currently visible. This is equivalent to setting visible to false. So it's the same. Just a hobbyist game dev guy with no time to write his own stuff. Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much why I quit my last job. Because I was a web dev as a, I want to say, main job, and well, I quit because of burnout, but burnout happened because I thought I would be doing game dev and I ended up not doing that, so. But yeah, doing game dev with a job on the side, that's hardcore. Very hardcore. Because it takes a lot of time, and learning it, jeez. So anyway. So here in the upgrade, right, if let's just not block the mouse input at the moment. So that we can, oh well, no, I don't want to pass, I want to ignore. And now we should have an on-off upgrade. So yeah, actually the problem you had initially was that here you had no value in your clicker view, right? So it required to be assigned in your export here. But you can't just assign it when the scene is alone, so you have to assign it from the bigger scene with this guy here. Right there. So this is how you fix this problem, if you want to go forward. Games on React, I tried that. Not a big fan of it. Because I don't remember why I stopped. I think I was actually making games on Angular, because at some point I was doing research and development to assess whether we would use Angular or React for our project. And I did some very, very early, super bad game about breeding squids. That was so bad. When you click on the upgrade, I want it to be the only interface with upgrades. Alright, so if you want to do that, then you want it to be full screen. So what you can do is, in your upgrade, you change the node here to be a panel container, like this. And you set its anchor to be full screen. And then you will need basically to have a pretty much, so let's make this a label actually, I believe. And change this type to label. So here we have the header, which will go at the, Okay, so that's a container here. Let's add a well, the upgrades label will go at the top like this. Maybe adding a little bit of margin for this header, and let's go with 32. That's a good word number. And then we're gonna add another margin with a button which is gonna be displaying X. Pretty bad. And you go in there with again 32. And as for the size of the button, we will go with 64. Well, no, that's a little bit big. So we'll have this guy at the top, like this, and then we'll create a function on cross button pressed. And there we want to have something like visible equal false. That's very bad design what I'm doing. I mean, it works, but I'm just trying to patch as best as I can here. And you will connect this to, I need to save first. We need to connect this to our on cross button pressed. So that now we can start the game, have the upgrade thing happen, and we can close it. So the upgrade panel is a little bit transparent. That's by design. So you can go in the theme override and you change the style box right there. And if you want the godot color, it's 2B, right? So now you do have this kind of panel which pops up in front and you can close. So I guess now you can kind of rewind because I went very fast. So I don't know if I will leave the video on YouTube on public, but at the very least it will be not listed, and I will put a link on Discord so you can watch again what I've been doing. So if you have other questions, make sure. What do we have? Toronto, Ontario. All right. Okay, so that's Canada. I don't know if it's on the right, I mean the east or the west side of Canada, because I do believe it's very large. Fox and the rabbit, how quaint. And does the generate AP button work? I think it doesn't. Before sending it to you, it worked. I'm gonna check that very quickly. Here we have a problem that's magic damage. So we have a null somewhere, rich text is null. So it's probably the same problem of expert. I guess here. We just need to bind this. So, I don't know why sometimes they work or they don't, but this time it works. Also, if you dislike this white thing, that's very easy fix on the theme. You can always go in focus and assign it to... It's already unknown. Oh, sorry, because... What's the button? Oh, maybe it's in stock. Yes, app clicker, and in there you can go in focus and change the mode to known, and this way your clicker button is not behaving weirdly. Alright, so I think we've done what we were here to do. So yeah, I also try to make games on React. Wait a second. Main job language, but I was really concerned about lack of tools, guides, optimization, and security, so I gave up on that, and now I started to learn Godot. Yep. Yeah, of course. I don't know how it went out. I just remember that the only game jam, real one, that I did in real life, there was a group of guys who made games with JavaScript, and that was absolutely awesome what they were able to do with just JavaScript. Yes, React is not meant for game, but based on what tools we have in it, it's just, I almost want to say it's easy. If you have the knowledge of how to make games and how to use React, you can very easily make games, I guess. Not very visual and flashy ones, but if your thing is interface-based games, then definitely. Thank you a lot, you shouldn't have done that. Well, honestly, you should pay me. So I had a PayPal donation at some point, which I stopped listing because I honestly don't know how to maintain it. And as for YouTube, I actually don't match any requirement to turn on any kind of monetization yet. So that can go through YouTube at all. I think I'm missing on 300 hours of watch time. And actually no, it's very fine, because here we are debugging, and that's something that's many people just don't know how to do, and it's annoying to do. And well, at least you guys see how I go through that, because in most of my videos I just cut it, edit it out. So yeah, so that's the point of the only thing that lives have better than videos is that you can see debugging. So let's do that. So maybe I can show you what I wanted to do for the second episode of the idle tutorial. But the problem is, yeah, it's just too complicated. Because, yeah, 2 hours of recording. And actually, that wasn't the recording of the actual episode. That was just me recording, me doing the thing the first time. Because usually that's what I do. I make a fake record where I do everything, and then I list all the things I want to within or change the order, that kind of stuff. So here, yeah, that was 2 hours long, and I wanted to add many things. So the point of this entire script was to add items right there that you could buy at different prices. So you can see that here the honey jars have different values, even though they are the same item. And you could basically buy things until you have 6. And once you have 6, well, you can't buy anymore, right? If I wait a little bit here, I can buy, but I have to go in sell mode, where you have to wait a little bit so that you get the silver at some point. Right here, we get the silver. So as you can see, a lot is lacking because we don't see the selling timer, we don't see the current state of the inventory, all that kind of things. And yeah, there was 2 hours to make this. Of course, not knowing how to do it and losing time, but that's a lot. Just to show you the manager goods class, it's really that big. There's 150 lines. So yeah, that's a big one. Why don't you make games? I mean, you do so many bridge projects on YouTube. If you completed them, I think you would be great. Okay, so first reason, I won't say that I do have ADHD, because that's only the case when I'm doing things that I don't want to do, right? Which is your brain being absolutely a mastermind at distracting yourself. So focusing on something that I don't want to focus on a subconscious level, it's absolutely impossible for me. Like, absolutely. That's first thing. the second thing is, what I love the most about programming is making beautiful programs, in the sense of having clean codes and things that that assemble perfectly. And when you work on a game with the first intention of going to the finish line, you have to cut corners, to take shortcuts. And this forces me to basically make things in a poor way, or very often simply because I don't know how to do it. Because I want to implement a feature, which I never did before. And then I cut corners, or I do it badly because I don't know any better. And then I feel very bad about the code and I want to redo it all over again. And creating a new project is oftentimes how it ends up. The third reason is because I love teaching, whether it is programming or pretty much anything else. So making up good quality content for people to learn from actually motivates me like 10 times more than producing a full game. Because the problem with a full game is that I do have the skills on programming, which is indeed the most important part of any game, because without programming it just doesn't work. However, on all other aspects, I know pretty much nothing. Like, I can't produce any model. My pixel art skills are so bad. I tried a little bit, that was absolutely awful. So if I want to make a game, I won't do it alone. I will have to be in a team with people who are good at the things that I can't do, because that's just what I can't do. It's that simple. And also, another last reason is that right now, geographically, I'm very much isolated from the rest of the world. I'm very, very far in the countryside of France, and working on a game takes so much time that I would pretty much communicate and engage with no one at all. And that would be very, very, very sad. Because while I'm making videos and tutorials that people can watch and interact with, I'm not working alone for nothing, sort of. So that I can work on a project that takes around a week, if it is a big video. And then I send it out and I have interactions. And even, for example, the debugging that we did earlier, that's interactions, that's social interaction to me right now. So it is interesting to have this, because around me, programming, like, I'm pretty much the only living soul who knows what I'm talking about. Or just like me, since they feel like there's no one around, they just don't get out of their house and say, hey, I'm a programmer. It's the countryside, right? Like, I think just me alone, there's not so many people my age. The average is more around retirement, to be fair. So anyway, the point of this live was that I wanted to rework the second episode of the series, and I actually wanted to create a new game loop. A new game loop because I had this one, pretty much this one, which was the trading loop that we saw. So since it is way too much complicated, even though I cut corners right there, everything that's orange is pretty much upgrades which can come on top of what I did. Even though I cut corners, it's still too big and too complicated for a second episode. So what I want to do is something very easy, sort of. Like from Melver Idol, I guess, because I once stated that I wanted to make a game where you could basically assign your character to a certain task so that they would generate resources passively. And I think that's what we will be doing in there. So at the moment I don't have much, so I'm just gonna start a new drawing. Because what I want to be able to do in that episode is to be able to assign a character, basically. Assign the character to a task. I want to be able to do that. There's a break that I don't want here. So I want to be able to assign the character to a task that will enter a kind of a loop that will generate resources based on timer. So here we will generate resources based on a timer. And then we will have a kind of a loop here. So we will have, wait a second. I want my text to be at the top, and here we will have a loop. And if you like debugging, I'm going to have a lot of problems in the future. Well, yeah, we kind of have the difference as well as debugging and finding solutions to a problem to make a feature. So anyway, I think it's in the same group of actions, I guess. So anyway, if you want to have a more consistent interaction with your project, then I really suggest you to have a version control about your project, because this way basically you would be able to have your project, work on your project, and here I will be able to basically get the updates that you post. You post the updates, and from there I can get the code without any more action than just pulling the information. And I can make changes that I can send to you again, that you can fetch back. It's kind of a flux that once it's set up, we can just exchange things very easily. Do you call game loop just some action based on the time? There's the thing here. Can you? No, I can't get this right. Based on the timeout, is it something more complex? Now, a game loop is just a... Oh, I will show you. It's just a game design term, which is very much defined here. So it has to be something that loops or cycles on itself, and it is a sequence of actions that the user takes to progress through something or through the game, right? So for example, here is the most stupidest game loop ever. You buy goods, you sell the goods at a higher price than you bought them, which creates silver which you can spend on buying more goods, and then with buying more goods you can sell goods, and that cycles. So a game loop is basically something that your player will, it's the actions that they cycle through, and once the game loop is set, you pretty much gain a lot of game time because it's looping, right? For example, if you take an RPG game, you can say that the combat is a kind of a game loop where the player will be attacking and defending until either side is winning. But at this point, the loop breaks because there's no more fights. And on an RPG, you kind of go forward. There's no looping in the story. There's no looping on the exploration and stuff. So you have to create the content, a lot of content, so that you can pretty much go straight. Loops on the other side, once they are set, they have this kind of thing where you will repeat the actions and it will grow bigger, bigger. Like grinding experience, grinding materials, that's a game loop, basically, on Kraken. So I'm not sure of the context of the question, but basically you host your project on GitHub. Okay, I'm not connected anymore. You host your project on GitHub. Git Kraken, right there, is just here to help you manage the updating of your project. It allows you basically to manage those commits. But it's gonna be on GitHub. I can't remember what I put in my Git Kraken video, but I'm pretty sure you have the most important part of it, which is how to plug Kraken on your project, because that's what you want to do first. You want to create a project on Kraken, which is basically a local Git repository. And then you will be able to upload it on GitHub if you link the accounts. So here, yes. So here basically I want to create a loop, which is pretty much, it's not really going to be a loop because it's based off of being AFK. So we assign a character to as task. Oh my god. To a task. And then here we generate resources based on a timer. So what we will do is wait for timeout. And here we will generate resources. And we will have this kind of things like this, where we will have the cycle in there. So this is pretty basic, pretty simple. However, I want to think about later implementations, because right there we have examples of objects. We have examples of objects, and it could be interesting to be able to get this kind of objects from passive activities. I guess that could be interesting. So that you can basically get those for free, and you really do get the full value when you sell those things. Because right now the hardest part is pretty much designing the class. So if you've never used, however you want to call this, these are named UML. I discussed this on a stream, on the stream of someone else recently. They were doing flowcharts, and I was like, well, you should actually look into UML, because it's brilliant to know and prepare what you will be creating. So here, I actually don't know how I want to make this, but that will be the manager. And I have no idea what name I want to give it. Job, action. Let's go with manager job at the moment. So this guy will have a state. it will have a state. We will obviously have the idle. And then I'm gonna say that we'll have... I'm putting dummy states right now. But I want to visualize having different actions. Or is it? Because on the long run, we will have probably a lot of actions. So doing a state like this is probably not the solution. Basically like BDO resource nodes. You assign workers to get resources and then sell those resources for silver. And to improve in future, those resources could be refined, combined, right? So the thing is with Black Desert workers is that it's not really workers. I mean, I'm guessing here, but it's probably not the workers who have a task directly. It's more about the nodes having a slot for a worker to work in. So it kind of requires you to have a node system functioning before you can assign the workers like this. Here, I think Melver, I didn't play this game very much, but I do believe that this system is actually pretty close to what I have in mind. Because I think I can start without signing in, yes. So I have no save here. Yep. I'm gonna disable. So yeah, that's pretty much that thing, right? Where you go in an action and you say, all right, I'm doing that. Can you stop it? You can stop it. So this looks like it, right? That's very simple to do. That's what I'm looking for. So we could actually do that. But how though? I'm trying to think way more than I'm talking, but the thing is that here you would have two states which are idle and working, pretty much. And then you would have a kind of property somewhere, like in this guy. Let me edit. You would have a property which would be a reference to the action you're doing. Or work. There's going to be work reference. So we do need to have work references, basically. Work references that we will be able to set up so that you can basically, I'm doing this job. Right. So here, that's going to be a work reference. And that work reference would have, well, of course, an ID. ID should be public. Well, is this going to be a resource? It's actually going to be a resource, I guess. So here you would have the ID. Maybe you would have the task name. And do we want different tasks to have different durations? So that some tasks do yield silver very often, while other tasks yield silver less often. That could be a thing. So let's go with work duration. Okay, that will be refined later. And we need to have a kind of a loot table. So we could do it in a few different ways. The first one is to only have a loot table, but that pretty much requires to have working items. Or we could have a two-way system where we would get silver on the first place. I mean, whatever the type of job you do, you will get silver, and then later on we will be able to implement an item system which will allow us to add new items to a table. So here we will have minimum silver reward, which is going to be an int and a maximum. So let's actually go in Godot a little bit. That will be a little bit better to do a little bit of both. So I want to stash this. So this will be episode discarded. Too long. Okay, so we have a new project here. New, not so new. Yep, many missing things. Right, so here we're gonna create a abstracts, and we're gonna create work reference. So a work reference is gonna be a resource script. We said we wanted to have an idea. We need a task name. We do need a task duration. That's going to be task duration. Do I want this to be a float? Let's say we want this to be a float. By default, that will be 1 second. And then we have the minimum silver reward. Minimum silver reward. And maximum. So now that we have this abstract, we can start creating a few resources. So in there, we will have work references. We need a color. work references. So we create a new resource, which is a work reference, and we will have something very basic, helping villagers. Helping villagers. All right. So the idea will be okay, that's a very random one. Helping villagers for the basic task name. Task duration will be 2.5. The minimum silver reward will be 5. It will be between 5 and 10. Okay. So there we do have a task. So now what we want to do basically is to have our state here. So we will have the state, which is going to be a state type, and we're going to have the work reference ID here. So we will need a timer. That will be task timer. As for the methods, because we will have to prepare a few methods. To work with. So we need a few methods basically which will allow us to change states. Switch through states. Maybe I can actually point directly here. So we would have, I'm looking for a word which will prefix the methods to switch states. So we will have, I don't know if I'm thinking be idle or be working. I'm gonna try this to see how it unfolds. So we'll have be idle and be working, and here we will have to reference a task reference. So okay, work reference is going to be task reference now. So those methods here, be idle, be working, will be here to change the states. We'll create a getStates method, which will return a state. And I'm thinking, because one of the very powerful tools of resources in Godot is that we can add functions to our resources, functions that can do things. So essentially what we can do is here actually have this. We create a method which is generate rewards or task completion. Task completion is good. We have task completion. And right there, we can add specific code to go in there. So in this abstract, we would have a function task completion. And here we can basically do whatever we want. And ultimately, later on, what we can do is create sub-task types that we will be able to edit separately, so that we will have, for example, tasks which yield only silver, others which will have silver and items, etc., etc. So here what we're going to do is very simple. If not manager silver.ref, we return. Otherwise, we will have a variable row, which is going to be an int equal to a random range from minimum to maximum. And we would just have manager silver dot ref dot create silver, and here we will create that much silver. So this way we actually don't have to add this in the task script. Maybe if you use the word task for the action to earn silver, then utilize? Yes. I'm gonna say use it. Use it in the variable names. Task reference, start task, yes. So I don't know if there's a bit of a lag or if you're slightly late. But yeah, I'm definitely using task. So just to be sure, but just to tell you, I'm not gonna change this right there, this type here, because no matter what, at the end of the stream, all the changes that I'm making right now, they're gone. They're gone because they're just prototyping. They're not meant to stay, so I don't really care if they're not perfect. I mean, when it works in one place and task in another, it could be a little bit confusing. Yes, definitely. And I'm definitely going to use task. So, what did I want to do? Okay, that completely hijacked my mind. Oh yes, I was on task completion. No, well, you're right. It's just that I didn't specify that I would get rid of that. This is why I'm actually a bit more thorough to update thing on the planning here than on the game. Because to be perfectly honest, this phase which I'm working on right now, which is pretty much planning and designing the tables and the documentation. When you are very good at what you're doing, you don't need Godot to do that. You just need your pen and paper, and you create your program entirely before you create it in the code. But this is endgame, like literally endgame. And it's actually much easier to have your project, you work on it a little bit, you prototype on your game as you are producing those important documents on the side. And you you tweak many things like this. And once you're done, what I usually do is I stash my changes so I don't lose those. I just stash them. And then you forget about it. You forget about it for a few days. I mean, depends on how quickly you forget things. You come back to it, and you actually start with the document you've written. You read the document, and you see if it does make sense. And I can tell you, I'm going to show you an example. Here is the episode 2 planning of the video, right? And what I did at the very end is create a task list of what I wanted to do in the video and the order. And this task list, when I read it after waiting a few days, I was like, oh, there are a few things missing. And instantly that was very obvious because the brain was clear. So yeah. Just reading it, you can see major problems. And even then, when you go through it, you reread and rethink about it, you will see many problems that you couldn't see in the first place. And actually, it's very funny, because I realize that the process of making the game, the more I go, I don't want to say professional, but the more I go with an organized way to do that, the more it looks like when I was studying how to write a book. And it's exactly the same process. We go through the same phases. So it's very fun to say that making a game is exactly like writing a book. So yeah, I was saying that I wanted I'm obsidian right here. I wanted to do those tasks. So here, as you reference, be working. You said start task, I believe? Start task, yes. Start task is gonna be... But I don't know. So we will have start idling? Or maybe we will just have stop task. Let's go. Let's go with stop task. Yep. So we have stop task, start task, get state. So, alright, maybe we can go in there and create a task manager. So it takes shape. I mean, it's taking form. Task manager. Well, no. Manager task. Okay, I wanted to make folder. Never mind. Well, anyway, we need a static var reference manager task and function init. In there, if not ref. Actually, it's a little bit too bad that we have to use Q3 and that we can't use free, because I'm afraid that using Q3 instead of free could eventually create problems if you mess up and instantiate singletons different times. I never tried, and I try my best to make sure my singletons don't do anything too important before the second frame. My icy chocolate is not so much icy. So anyway, here we will have a few signals, which is stopped. Well, I can't say stopped tasking. Or maybe let's go with task stopped and task started. And here we will have a task or a reference, task ref, which is a work reference because we have bad types. And we would have task completed. Well, it's a little bit weird because here we have completed, but it auto loops. Well, that's alright. And here we have a work reference as well. So we do need to create those in there. So we have task stopped, task started, and task completed. Okay. So then, oh, we need an enum, and I think enums, where did they go? Because I talked about this styling guide, but they go after signals. Okay. So here we have the enum state. That's a little bit weird. Let's go with working. Tasking. I will keep working. So what's happening here? Okay. I honestly don't know if this game is cool or not, because I think it was dull because I didn't buy the game. You know, when you don't buy the game, you can't do anything fun. That's what I believe. So I will have to trust you if you say this game is interesting. I don't even know how much it costs. There's probably a bundle on Steam or something. But yeah, it's the free version doesn't look so good. And I've never played RuneScape, so kinda missing on the references. So anyway. So we need a work reference. Well, we're gonna have the current task. So this is current task. And task timer, yep. So we have to create a node for this. Alright. Manager task. And I'm gonna add a timer. Task timer. Okay. I don't have auto completion on this. Interesting. So yeah. We will have the task timer. We need to save this. Okay, it's very messy. And it is because I plan to discard. Okay, so we do have the time. So we want to start, stop. Well, actually, we might not need more than that. So here we have start task. So here, when we stop the task, we want to force the state to idle. Oh well, we need the state, of course. I'm wondering if the onReady goes after. Yep. Definitely. So yes, when we stop the task, we will force the state to be equal to state.idle, same as the default. Okay. I actually want to make a check that we did come from. We're gonna do something different. If state is equal to idle, then we want to do nothing. And we want the state to go to idle, right? And what do we want to do next? We want to reset the task, the current task. So current task is gonna be null. And we want to emit task stopped. We do want to stop the timer as well. Task timer dot stop. Okay. So here we will have the start task with the work reference. So we're gonna make a check again. So if state is equal to state.working and current task is equal to task. If we are, oh, maybe if we do, well, let's return at the moment. Let's do nothing about it. So when we start a task, we want current task to be equal to task. And yep, yes, I really do believe it resets the value. This is how I've used it before. Because there's another way to do it. You can pause the timer. And when you pause the timer, the time doesn't reset. And here, if you go with stop, stops the timer. Start the timer and sets wait time to time second. So yes, it definitely does. I can confirm it. So we set the task to a new task, and then here we have task timer dot, and I believe it's wait time. it is wait time to be equal to task dot task duration. Then we start task timer. Yes, task timer. Whoa. Dot start like this. And we will have to bind the signal at some point. And here we task started, we emit with the task. So let's actually create a function on task timer timeout. And here we will have current task dot task completion. So now we can bind this. So we will have a task timer, that timeout, that emit, nope, that connects, and on task timer timeout. And of course, we do not want to forget about our signal, which is task completed dot emit task current task. Right. So I created a new method in there, which is on timer, well, task timer. We have this, and actually, well, I have the get state here, but alright. We can make a very, very rough UI to test this, I guess. So here we can bring in a manager task, delete all this. Well, actually, we can make the UI in there since it's going to be very, very simple. So we're gonna have a label. Well, we do have a label already. Oh, by the way, did you fix your problem with the label and your silver token? Yeah, there. Why is it not possible to give pixel size for sprite? And we have to manually find scale magic numbers to make it fit. That's, yeah. I think the problem was ignore size, but I don't know if you did fix this, because we could be looking at it right there. So here we have a label silver, which I will position at the top. Within a margin, actually. Oh yeah, like you use the blue node sprite 2D. As a rule of thumb, if you follow my projects and end up using blue nodes without knowing exactly why you want to use a blue node, then there's probably a green thing that does it better. I think the best way to separate those two things is that blue nodes are specifically made to work with 2D rendering in cameras, while green nodes are meant to be working with what I would call a web design-like system. Well, it depends, because yeah, it makes it automatically if you drag and drop icons. It depends on the settings. You just need to have the right thing, and usually it's either feet wide or feet height most of the time. Sometimes you have to use ignore size because you're downscaling, but I can't remember exactly when you have to do this. So here we have a margin container which will be centered top. And theme overrides, constant, left we don't care. Don't care 0. 0, 16, and that's it. Well, actually maybe I need a little bit of bigger. No, we don't. We don't. So we have our label here. And why does, oh, it doesn't have scripts. Manage a task. There you go. Now you do something. So probably here in my game, at the moment, the only thing I need is a button, which will be center screen, which will have the magic button number, and that will be task. And I'm not even gonna create a script. Fine. And I'm gonna go with function onPressed. And what do I want to do onPressed? I want to go in manager task dot ref. That's start task. And here I want to preload. Villager? Yes. So pressed.connect. Yes, exactly. Because yeah, if you give it the size, it's perfect. Because what you can do basically is, I mean, what I've used the most is using a container, so either a VBox or a HBox. And basically, if you select the right fit, it will take the height or the width of the VBox of the box. So the height of your sprite here will be defined by the height or height, whatever, of your label. And it will take the vertical of your label to define the vertical of your texture. But maybe you do want a specific texture, right? That's totally up to you. So okay, my brain already disconnected, but I do believe that I'm done. So I should be able to start the task here and at some point generate silver. Yes. So we generate a maximum of 14k of silver per hour. That's very okay. Especially if that runs indefinitely. So now trying to think about the episode 2 of the tutorial. What I will be doing is basically probably start with creating a task. Like this, we will create a task. Then we will create a database for the task, which we didn't do right now. I mean, yet. We didn't do yet. So here, wait, give me the, yes. So here we will have task database. And this we will do right away. Let's do that actually. So I'm gonna create a folder databases. Well, we already do have a resources here. Work references. So what we can do is create a new script, which is going to be task references with an S. And this is where it goes very different. So here we will have a class name, which is going to be task references. And in there we will have a static variable dictionary. Oh yes, but there's no typing in dictionaries. Oh, I hate that. Let's ignore it. And we're gonna have, well, I guess we could create a script that would initialize the database based on a folder. Like going through a folder, loading all the resources, and adding them in the dictionary. That could be a thing. Or we could do that. We could do exactly this. And I do believe that's the task 001. So basically we could be able now to pretty much add all the tasks in there. And within the game, what we can do is fetch our button here. And this thing, start the task. We would have task references dot dictionary. Why can't, is it because it's not saved? Let's try again. Yes, dictionary. And here we want to find task 001. So this should work. So now we should be generating silver. So this is what we will be doing, I guess. We will be doing tasks. And we will generate maybe 2 tasks. And then we will create a dictionary in the database with those 2 tasks. create the simple manager server. Nope. The manager task, which is way smaller than whatever the big ass monster was. And then we have a little bit of UI to make. That looks good. And then the next episode, episode 3, would be about creating items. So there we would create a few items, just like we had in the training center. And those items we will create an inventory. Oh no. Inventories. This is gonna be quite big. But actually it's also interesting because the inventory the inventory tutorial that we made doesn't do anything. It doesn't work, pretty much. It's just there. And here we will make an inventory that does things, and that's cool. I don't know how long. 1 hour and 38 minutes. And I didn't cough yet, so I guess I can say I'm done with it. That's pretty cool. So yes, at episode 3, items. Well, anyway, the inventory that we will do in the episode 3 will be about just adding the items, but they will be invisible. And I just remembered that I gave exercises in the first episode. Well, it should be simple enough to not really need an answer, but I should provide answers somewhere. Maybe... I don't know. I'll create separate videos, because they are already long enough. So yeah, back to the drawing boards. Task database. Well, actually don't have to describe this, it's just a dictionary. So here we actually have everything. And here's our loop. That's correct. Right. So you can die. I don't need you anymore. And you're gonna be the drawing board. So here, define a new timeline. So first, we want to define an abstract for tasks. Then, we want to create 2 tasks. Then we want to define a database structure to store tasks. And then we want to create a task manager singleton And then we want to create a user interface scene to control tasks. Yep, that looks like it. So this is going to be episode 2. Do I actually want to go further? Nah, probably not. Let me check. What time is it? Huh. I think I'm done for today. I don't have much to do. Unless the one person in the chat right now wants me to check something on a project in particular with a very specific question. I guess I'd be going for today. And the next streams, if I weave in more streams, will be about taking the LoFi project. I actually don't remember where I stopped it. Yeah. Okay, that was a crafting game, that's for sure. Well, if I don't know what to do, I will be doing that on live. For now, I guess that will be all I'm doing today, and I will be preparing that episode 2 of the tutorial series. And I'm actually much more satisfied with what we've done right now. It's way better than the 2-hour. Okay. So yep, I'll be going. I leave you a few seconds. Okay, so it's literally when I want to end the stream that people are joining it. But whatever. I will leave you there and a few minutes with the music as I'm closing in, and then the stream will stop. So hope you like this, where we have been working on a viewer project as well as the preparation of the next video, and I will see you in the next one. It actually depends if you do have a question right now, Darian, because I was saying if someone has something to ask, I can do it right away. But otherwise, I'm going. It's just that I finished what I wanted to do tonight. Well, since someone left, I don't know if it's you. I just check on the Discord. Okay, no, it's okay. Yeah. So please ignore the message on Discord. So yeah, as I said, have a nice whatever time it is where you are, and I will see you in the next video then, which is gonna be much more cooler now.